Empty shelves at K-Mart. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and drink it while you can before we run out of coffee because empty shelves are being discussed in the media. Now, we've all heard of, or maybe you haven't, apparently canned food shortages are occurring in the US. We read an article early this morning and got some information that there's going to be extreme lockdowns in Victoria and abattoirs are going to be hit, so there might be meat shortages. Stock up while you can, everyone. Do you have, before we get into this, I'll put the question to you. What are your food stockpiles? What are your food stockpiles? We are on essentially, we're trying to have a carnivore diet, so we eat a lot of animal products. The opposite of veganism, but one that's actually based on science. And the point is, we buy our beef in bulk. We've just run out. We've just pretty much gone through. It took us about 4 months to go through half a cow and an entire goat. No, not lamb, not a goat. So I've asked Rachel to get us, another half beast and entire deer. So, I'm hoping we'll be able to get that in before supplies diminish. But the problem is with meat, you've got to store it. So, we've got a big chest freezer and we've got a standing upright freezer, and I bought a generator and I've got petrol stored just in case we lose power, because there's a couple of gram worth of meat in there that you want to be able to keep running, keep frozen for a couple of days if you need to, if power becomes intermittent or blacks out for a long time. That's probably the extreme of my prepper dive that I've gone. I know other people are much more much keener. You got people that are hunting and getting their own food, which I think would be definitely something that would be interesting to look into. But I don't think I'll be allowed to buy any new toys until I get the house sorted. Let me know what you're doing, what you have stored up. I know there's some people in the comments that they've got their veggie patch sorted. They've got months worth of food stacked away just in case. Even Tim Pool, one of his sponsors, is like a prepper American food company where you get boxes of food that you store away. So, maybe it's not just toilet paper. Maybe it should just be, even if you can only afford to get a few extra things that you can store. I mean, we've got kilos of rice and wheat, even though, we don't eat it that much day to day. We've got it here just in case we need it if, disaster strikes, because, wheat can last forever, pretty much forever, a long time. And rice, it'll keep you going. It's not the best thing to eat, but still it's better than nothing. So let's have a look at this, everyone. Let's have a look while I'm going on my prepper rant. K-Mart, Big W, and Target. Low stock months after stores said shelves would be full. They said it should be back to normal by July. Well, it's August, and shelves are still empty and customers are increasingly frustrated. So we're having first world problems. First world problems that we can't just go to the shop and pick up our things. I mean, you've got a feel for the people in Victoria now that apparently only one person may be able to leave the house to go shopping. I mean, it's 2nd of August now. This is when Rachel does her month shop. So it's going to be a big shop. And I was talking to a friend. I was saying, you should buy bulk to save money. And he goes, oh, we can't. We don't have a Costco or that around us. I go, mate, Costco isn't cheaper. It's a con. Aldi is the cheapest. This is what Rachel figured out. I should find her Excel spreadsheet and share it with you. But she, was comparing the cost of items to the weight, the amount that you get, and going through Costco with that Excel spreadsheet, you could see it wasn't cheaper. Aldi was the cheapest. So Mansa has tried several Kmarts to find what he was looking for, all coming up wanting. So starting close to his home in Sydney's southwest, he'd now found himself in the city's eastern suburbs 30 kilometers away. We're looking for home stuff and things for the baby, and they just don't have enough, he told news.com.au while browsing the distinctively bare shelves at the store in Westfield East Gardens. It's difficult to find anything in the Kmart at Bass Hill. It looks like it's closing down, he said. Well, that's because most of the products from Kmart are usually Chinese made. They're manufactured from China and they are imported, and I'll bring up the shipping data which I've shown in a previous video. We can see here there you go, guys. This right here, this is where most of Kmart's goods will come. On big container ships, bulk cargo, the green ones, coming down to Australia. right there. If that's delayed, if that's interrupted, it's going to manifest in these bare shelves that we're seeing here. Because nothing's manufactured in Australia. Our economy isn't that complex. We're pretty primitive with regards to the complexity of our manufacturing. We don't have the massive scale or well, market size as China has. So we can't compete, so no one pays for it. No one pays for it. K-Mart, as well as other big retailers, have struggled to keep the shelves stocked for months, since last April. The discounter had told shoppers online since May that we expect stock availability to normalize by July. In the last couple of days, that advice quietly changed to August. News.com.au has visited multiple K-Mart stores as well as Big W and Target, and given August started this weekend, it seems highly unlikely the empty shelves issues would be resolved imminently. It might. A truck may just arrive today and they'll fill it in an instant. I mean, what are we talking about here? You know, foldable shelves. I mean, we're not talking drastic things that people need. These are just knickknacks and home crap. Most of you could probably build yourself with some nails and a piece of timber. You know, isn't that what people used to do? Isn't that what they used to do? All the furniture we've got here in my office. You know, I've got bookshelves behind me that are handmade. The desk I've got is a standing desk with another desk underneath it for storage. Shelves behind me. You know, the other desk, everything's made out of hand-stand ply, with the majority of the ply being Australian made. We got it from a local supplier here in Australia. The Chinese stuff from Bunnings was cheaper, but it had dodgier crap in it. All the off-gassing, which you don't want when you've got a pregnant wife and babies around. And the Australian, the B-grade stuff we got was just a lot nicer. But you pay for it. You pay the money for it. Good ply is expensive. And that's the thing, everyone. It comes down to they don't have any... They've got empty shelves because there's no local manufacturers making the stuff that can supply it for them. Or it's at prices that aren't competitive. I'm trying to find, you know, a Stein manufacturer here in Australia. You think I can? Everyone I go to that supplies it, they're just getting the same stuff from Alibaba and then putting, you know, selling it on to you. So, you know, I may just have to resort to doing that to offer people Steins. Because viewers are asking for them. They want their coffee Steins. I mean, this is a lovely one. This one was a gift from my mother. She just went over to Austria and she had to drive all around with her sister to find it for me. All of the Steins that I have in the videos, actually, most of them would be from my mother, either going over to Germany or Austria, and she'd give them to my father years back, and now I've inherited them. So it's interesting to see where you have to go to get a good Stein. Another shopper at K-Mart in East Gardens, close to Sydney's famous beaches, said she was on a fruitless search for pillowcases. I mean, pillowcase. Okay, I'm spoiled by my wife sewing and knowing how to make things. And she is a sewer. She's made her own wedding dress. If your wife sews, and I know the guys in the comments who have experienced this, they just collect material like nothing, like rolls of the stuff. We had an entire room dedicated to it. Now above her desk, fortunately we've got high ceilings. You know, we put up some timber so she can just store rolls of materials there. And if she needs to make something, she'll just make it. She'll make the kids' clothes. But the thing is, it's not cheaper. If she gets the material for free, sure, it could be cheaper. And she enjoys it as a hobby doing it. But the time isn't worth it. The time to manufacture it by hand isn't worth it. Maybe these are skills that are going to have to come back now as times get tough. I mean, pillowcases. I probably couldn't make a pillowcase. I did very bad at home economics. I remember getting into an argument with my home ec teacher about sewing on a button, saying I'll just pay someone to do it. Now I've got a wife to do it. That probably wouldn't have gone down well even back then. but let me know, guys. Let me know if you think a pillowcase should be something people could make themselves. I mean, to me, that seems like a first world problem. It's been really difficult. At the store in Bondi, the shelves are empty. Her boyfriend worked for K-Mart, she said, and there have been lots of complaints from customers. Elena Pisa from Bondi was searching for curtains. Finally, they'd found one in the right size in K-Mart after searching in multiple other stores, including the nearby Big W. It's frustrating, but what can you do about it? You just have to adapt, she told news.com.au. Her partner was blunter about the situation. Look at this place. It's, well, and he said an expletive that began with the word S-House to vividly describe the patchwork emptiness around them. Well, I mean, guys, this is what happens when you're completely dependent on foreign sources for your knickknacks and crap. I mean, it's curtains. Stores struggling the most. So how bad is the issue? It varies between stores and sections. Some retailers have lots of one item, while another retailer has very little. And certainly some stock is coming through, but seemingly in dribs and drabs. In news.com.au survey, which bear in mind is a snapshot rather than a peer-reviewed paper, well, it's the news, it's entertainment, all discounters had gaps. However, Target seemed to have fewer than Big W, which in turn was in better shape than K-Mart. Across the board, kitchenwares, home appliances like toasters and kettles, decorative items for the home, bikes, furniture, and Manchester were in short supply. Generally, clothes, shoes, books, and consumer products, such as packaged food and cleaning materials, were more numerous. Woolworths, which owned Big W, seemed to be doing better in kitchenware, like mugs, but the part of the store usually reserved for outdoor furniture was a gaping hole filled with a single patio set and some stacks of chairs. Its large office section, similar to areas does not exist in Target or Kmart, has been cleared out of items like printers. Well, people are working from home. People are working from home. A number of kitchen appliances were in stock, but these seem to have been spaced to fill the gaps where other items should be. Big W spokeswoman told News.com the pandemic had created an earlier than usual surge in demand for some items and furniture lines, leading to shortages. As we continue to see a steady demand for products that are essential for families, we expect customers to see an improvement in stock levels from mid-August, with a full recovery by early September across all departments. I mean, it could be another thing. It's just such a higher level of demand for these goods because people are stuck at home. People are stuck at home, so they want to make it more comfortable. Women's lingerie was looking somewhat threadbare of items of stock, with barely a bra to be found at Big W. So, I mean, this could be helping for the baby boom that we're hoping will happen. The supply of clothes has generally held up during the pandemic, but there was a similar sight in Kmart with a lack of lingerie and some shirts. Elsewhere in Kmart, furniture was found wanting. Storage was scarce, electricals was almost absent, and smelly candles were kaput. I mean, these are all things that I guess I'm not the demographic that buys this stuff. A whole heap of microwaves turned up and some bedding, but elsewhere the kitchen department was a desultory vista of almost total bare shelves. And Kmart could have particular issues. QUT's retail expert Professor Gary Mortimer said Kmart may have a particular problem as they stock more private label and fewer big name brands and have their own supply chains, like Aldi. An expanded private label product strategy is smart as it delivers retailers higher margins and protects against competitions. However, there is a risk in failing to manage the composition of range and supply base. If you increase the range of private label products you sell and your suppliers can't supply you, you end up with empty shelves, the professor said. Speaking to News.com in May, when stock levels in stores were first becoming an issue, Monash Business School's Professor Deanne Simpson said stores were struggling more than supermarkets because so much of what was on the shelves at the discounters was imported. Intercontinental supply chains that deliver huge amounts of cheap products are also complex and prone to shocks out of retailers' control. The pandemic has proven precisely such a shock. Any production that needs lots of human labor is an issue right now, said the logistics academic. Some of these facilities have relied heavily on migrant labor, and many of those people haven't been able to cross borders to get back to work. Retailers were also unwilling to increase their costs of doing business and likely put up prices just to fill an awkward empty shelf, said Professor Simpson. They're not about to put a bunch of bikes on a plane. They're expensive, so they'll use old-fashioned low-cost ways on a ship, which will take longer. There have been calls to source more products from Australia to squash the supply chains, but that would lead to some products rising costs, although Big W said 60% of its merchandise lines and much of its home storage is produced domestically. so stock double trouble. Some departments have suffered from a double whammy of increasing demand and more erratic supply chains. Sales of office equipment have soared as people work from home, but shipping in more printers is taking time, which explains Big W's depleted office section. Sales of office equipment have soared as people... Yeah, I've already read that. Similar furniture has been in high demand as Australia nests at home during the lockdown. A report by professional services firm PwC from earlier this year found that the constrained supply of Chinese manufactured goods could lead to overall revenue loss of 10% for Australian retailers this year. Miss Piazza, shopping at K-Mart in East Gardens, was sanguine about the shortages. This is just a pandemic though, right? And we haven't even had it as bad here as in other countries. Nonetheless, she said retailers could help customers better. More could allow you to search for items online and see if it was available at certain shops so you wouldn't have to waste time. They don't want to do that. They want to get you buying there so you impulse buy something. You know, online was already taking over, and this lack of product was only pushing people even further. Well, we'll have to see, everyone. What do you think? Another nail in the coffin of retail. Will it indeed push more people online? I'm looking at buying one of the, a new hand vacuum cleaner, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just go to the shops and get it. And then I thought, wait a minute, no, I'll just look online. Order it online. Why not? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Are you worried about stock shortages? What do you have in your emergency reserve? We're seeing here shortages of products. Do you think there will be shortages of food? I think that's more to do with logistics than with actually production capacity, but we'll have to wait and see. As always, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all in the next video.